Summer 1922, New York glittered under the sun. Nick Carraway had come from Chicago to build a future for himself on Wall Street. But he didn't know that this journey would change his destiny forever. Nick rented a small house on the quiet shore of Long Island, right next to the grand and mysterious mansion of a man named Great Gatsby, a man everyone talked about, yet no one really knew. Every night, the sound of jazz, laughter, and wild energy rose from Gatsby's mansion all the way up into the sky. Hundreds of people danced and drank in his brightly lit gardens, but among all those crowds, no one had ever actually seen Gatsby himself. One night, Nick went to visit his beautiful cousin Daisy in the wealthy neighborhood of East Egg, where she lived with her rich and arrogant husband, Tom Buchanan. In the middle of dinner, the phone rang and broke the silence. Jordan Baker, Daisy's friend, quietly whispered in Nick's ear, "Tom has a mistress, a woman named Myrtle Wilson, and she's married too." That night, when Nick returned home, he saw a man standing alone in the silence and darkness of the shore. He was staring at a green light across the bay, a distant, trembling glow like an unattainable dream. Nick wondered, maybe that man was Gatsby himself. A few days later, Nick received an official invitation from that same mysterious man, Great Gatsby. A call to attend one of those extravagant parties everyone in town talked about. At the party, hundreds of people in dazzling outfits laughed and danced under the bright lights. Yet among all those guests, nobody had ever seen Gatsby himself. One claimed he was a murderer, another said he was a spy. Everyone talked about him, but no one knew the truth. In the middle of all the chaos, Nick started talking to a calm and polite man. A man with a confident smile and eyes full of secrets. And suddenly, without any introduction, he said, "I'm Gatsby." The next day, Gatsby arrived in his luxurious car and invited Nick to lunch in Manhattan. Soon after, Jordan Baker, the mutual friend of Daisy and Gatsby, joined them as well. On their way back, Jordan told Nick, "Gatsby wants you to invite Daisy to your house for tea." Nick, surprised, asked, "Daisy and Gatsby? Why?" Jordan revealed that years ago, Gatsby had fallen in love with a girl named Daisy, a beautiful, wealthy girl full of dreams. But the war separated them. Gatsby went to the battlefield and didn't return for years. Daisy waited until a rich and arrogant man named Tom Buchanan came and claimed her as his own. On the morning of her wedding, Daisy received a letter from Gatsby, who was still alive. She cried, wanting to cancel everything. But her mother stopped her, and Daisy was forced to marry Tom. After returning from the war, burning with desire for wealth and his lost love, Gatsby became rich through dark and dangerous paths, only so he could win Daisy back. He bought his mansion directly across from Daisy's home, on the opposite side of the bay. At night, he would stand in silence, staring at the green light shining from her shore. A symbol of hope for a love that might no longer exist. All those magnificent parties were thrown for only one person, hoping one day Daisy would walk through the door. When the day of their meeting finally arrived, Gatsby nervously prepared everything. He filled Nick's house with flowers, trimmed the garden, and repeatedly practiced what he would say when he saw Daisy. And after 5 years, Gatsby saw Daisy again. In Nick's small house, under the rain, they sat across from each other, their silence heavy, filled with unspoken words and lost years. Daisy gently asked, "All these years, were you waiting for me?" Gatsby, with a bitter smile, replied, "Every night, Daisy. Every night I looked at that green light." Gatsby and Daisy were drawn back into their own world again. They danced in the grand halls of Gatsby's mansion, laughed, and swam by the pool, like two lost lovers who had forgotten time. But beneath the smiles, a hidden truth lingered. They both knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. Gatsby knew the time had come. Tom had to learn that Daisy no longer wished to live with him. On a hot summer day, Daisy invited Nick, Jordan, and Gatsby to her home. The air felt heavy, like a storm about to break. Daisy was anxious and restless, wanting to reveal the truth. But the words were trapped in her throat. Tom, who had been watching Daisy's recent behavior closely, looked suspiciously between her and Gatsby. Breathless with fear and pressure, Daisy suddenly forced a fake smile and said, "Let's go out to the Plaza Hotel. Maybe the air will be better there." But no one knew that everything would fall apart in that hotel. Tom, Nick, Jordan, Gatsby, and Daisy headed to New York, carrying with them heavy air and an eerie silence. Along the way, Tom stopped for fuel at George Wilson's garage. Myrtle's husband, his secret lover's spouse. George, pale and distressed, said he was planning to leave town with his wife. Tom, shaken, quickly returned to the car, and they continued driving. At the Plaza Hotel, Gatsby could no longer hold back and told Tom, "Daisy never loved you. She has always loved me." Tom, mocking, said, "Tell him, Daisy. Tell him the truth." Tears running down her face, Daisy softly murmured, "I once loved you too, Tom, but now I don't know." Right there, Gatsby's dream collapsed. Tom, with a victorious smirk, said, "You thought with your dirty money you could become one of us?" He revealed Gatsby's secret. His wealth had been gained through liquor smuggling and corrupt deals. And all those lavish parties were nothing but a mask hiding reality. Silence filled the room, and Daisy, with terrified eyes, looked at Gatsby, as if seeing him for the first time. Panicked and devastated, Daisy ran out of the hotel, and Gatsby followed her. Daisy got behind the wheel of Gatsby's car, trying to release her fear and rage through speed. Tears blurred her vision as she drove. That night, on his way back, Tom saw a crowd gathered near George's garage. News spread that Myrtle had died in an accident with a yellow car, the same car belonging to Gatsby. Coldly, Tom told George, "That car belongs to Gatsby. He was driving it." Those words ignited a fire of revenge inside George. Heartbroken and furious, he picked up a gun and headed toward Gatsby's mansion. The next day, Gatsby waited in his pool for Daisy's call. When the phone rang, he smiled, believing it was her. But before he could answer, George Wilson arrived and fired his gun. A single bullet ended Gatsby's dream beneath the water. Moments later, George took his own life. Nick was the only person who attended Gatsby's funeral. Daisy and Tom had already left town, and the media falsely introduced Gatsby as Myrtle's killer. Disgusted and heartbroken by the people of New York, Nick decided to leave everything behind forever. In silence, he walked through Gatsby's empty mansion one last time, thinking about the man who believed in dreams until his final breath. Nick ended by saying, "Gatsby believed in that green light, in that unreachable dream across the bay. We humans are always chasing dreams that drift farther from us each moment. We fight against the current of time, but in the end, we are always carried back into the past."